Have you ever noticed something strange, something subtle, but undeniably powerful? You stop texting back as quickly. You stop rushing to answer calls. You stop leaping up the moment someone needs something from you. And then, almost like magic, everything shifts. Suddenly, the people who seem to take you for granted begin acting different. They lean in. They start to worry. They ask you questions they never used to. Are you okay? Is something wrong? Did I do something? It's almost as if your silence, your distance, your refusal to always be available makes you more visible. And if you've experienced this, you know exactly what I mean. It's unsettling, isn't it? You think to yourself, why are they acting this way? I'm just taking a little space. But beneath the surface, something much deeper is happening. Here's what you need to understand. This is not magic. It's psychology, and it's one of the most powerful forces shaping your relationships, whether you're aware of it or not. Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychologists of the 20th century, understood this long before social media, long before instant messaging, long before today's endless noise. He once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves." That irritation people feel when you stop being as available, it's not really about you. It's a window into them, their insecurities, their need for control, their dependency on your reactions. But here's the twist, and it's an important one. It's also a window into you. Because if you feel guilty for pulling back, if you get anxious when you don't reply right away, if your chest tightens when someone calls you distant or unavailable, that tells you something deeply important about yourself too. We've been conditioned, almost from the time we were children, to believe that being a good person means being constantly available, always saying yes, always responding, always helping, always showing up, even when we're exhausted, even when we don't want to, even when it costs us our peace. And for a while that works. People praise you. They thank you. They tell you how generous, kind, and reliable you are. You get to feel useful, appreciated, even loved. But over time, something inside starts to shift. You begin to feel it, that quiet exhaustion that lingers even after a full night's sleep, that low simmer of frustration even as you tell yourself you're happy to help, that strange emptiness that creeps in like you're pouring yourself out for everyone else and leaving nothing for yourself. And then comes the twist. The moment you stop, even just a small step back, everything changes. People notice. They react. Some get worried. Others get irritated. And suddenly you realize just how much your constant availability was holding up their world. And what does that tell you? It tells you something powerful. Your attention, your energy, your presence, they have value. And when you stop giving them away freely, people feel the loss. But here's the deeper question. Why do we give so much of ourselves so easily? Why do we feel guilty when we hold back? And what really happens to them and to us when we finally reclaim our time, our peace, our energy? That's what we're going to explore next. Because when you stop being constantly available, you don't just change your schedule, you change the entire dynamic of your relationships. You reclaim your power, and you begin the journey back to yourself. Let's rewind, back to where it all began. From a young age, most of us were taught a simple rule. Be good, be helpful, be kind. Say yes, don't complain, don't be difficult. We learned early that when we helped others, whether by sharing toys, doing chores, or offering a listening ear, we got something in return. Approval, praise, validation. And that felt good. It felt safe. It felt like love. As we grew older, that lesson deepened. It became part of our identity. We were told again and again, be there for your friends. Don't let your family down. A good partner is always available. And without realizing it, we absorbed a belief that shaped everything. My worth depends on how much I give to others. Here's where the trap begins. At first, being available all the time feels harmless, sometimes even rewarding. People appreciate us. They lean on us. They tell us how amazing we are. We feel needed, important, valuable. But over time, something starts to shift. The very thing that once made us feel valued begins to wear us down. Because people get used to it, they start to expect it, and what was once kindness slowly turns into obligation. They don't always mean to take advantage, but gradually they begin to assume. You'll always say yes, you'll always answer, you'll always be there. And you start to feel it deep down. That quiet resentment every time you agree to something you don't want to do. That exhaustion that no amount of sleep can fix. That creeping sense of being used, even if no one says it out loud. Carl Jung's wisdom comes into focus here. He spoke of the persona, the mask we wear to fit in and be accepted. It's not fake, it's a survival tool. But when we cling too tightly to that mask, when we become the endlessly helpful, selfless version of ourselves, we lose touch with something essential, our true self. The persona whispers to us, be there for others no matter the cost. Keep the peace, even when it hurts you. Say yes, even when you're screaming no inside. And every time we obey that voice, we chip away at our own core. At first, the world rewards us. We're praised, admired, loved. But here's the hard truth. That love is often conditional. It's based on what we do, not who we are. And the moment we hesitate, the moment we stop, the cracks appear. Some people pull away. Others get frustrated. They may even accuse us of being selfish, cold, or distant. But what's really happening is this: we've broken the pattern. We've stepped out of the role they expected us to play. And that makes them uncomfortable, because our constant availability wasn't just helpful, it was predictable. And predictable things, they become tools for comfort, for reassurance, for emotional support. But here's the painful truth. What's always there eventually gets taken for granted. This is where everything starts to shift. You begin to notice something strange. The more available you are, the less others seem to value your time. What once felt like kindness turns into routine, and soon your presence is no longer seen, it's assumed. And that's the quiet turning point. Think about it. A friend who always shows up, no matter what. At first, you appreciate them. But over time, do you start to assume they'll always be there? Do you stop noticing the effort it takes? Now flip the script. Imagine someone who's generous, but also clear with their boundaries. When they give their time, it feels intentional. You notice it. You value it. That's the difference, and it's huge. Carl Jung understood this dynamic at a deep level. He taught that without boundaries, we lose ourselves and others lose respect for us. Because here's the truth, what is too abundant becomes invisible. When you're always there, people stop seeing you. They only see what you do for them, and little by little you fade until even you start to forget who you really are. But the moment you step back, even a little, the whole picture changes. People notice, they react. Some lean in with concern. Are you okay? Is something wrong? Others push harder, trying to pull you back into the role they've come to rely on. And a few, they might lash out, calling you selfish, cold, or distant. But here's what you need to remember. Their reaction isn't really about you. It's about them. Carl Jung explained this using the idea of projection. When people feel discomfort or insecurity they don't want to face, they project it onto someone else. So when you pull back and someone accuses you of being cold or distant, what's really happening? They're being forced to confront their own discomfort, their fear of abandonment, their need for control. Your change has exposed something they'd rather not see. And while it's tempting to soothe them, to explain yourself, to jump back into old patterns, this is the moment to hold steady. Because here's the truth. Your availability made them feel safe. Not always in a healthy way, but in a familiar one. When you change, you're not just shifting your own habits, you're challenging their sense of security. And that can be unsettling. But your job isn't to fix that. Your job is to hold your boundary with clarity, not apology. And in doing so, you begin the real work of reclaiming your time, your energy, and yourself. Now let's look inward at what really happens inside you when you hold your boundary. At first, it feels strange. You might feel a little guilty. Your mind whispers, "Am I being rude? Will they be upset? What if they don't like me anymore?" These thoughts are normal. They're echoes of old conditioning, trying to pull you back into the familiar. But here's what's fascinating. While your mind wrestles with guilt, something deeper begins to shift. You start to feel lighter, stronger, freer. Because for the first time in a long time, you're not reacting automatically. You're making a choice. And that changes everything. Carl Jung believed the human psyche is not just thoughts and feelings, it's an energy system. He called this psychic energy. Think of it like a battery. Every time you think, feel, or act, you spend energy. And just like a phone battery, your inner energy needs to be recharged, protected, and spent wisely. Here's where most of us get stuck. We don't realize how much energy we leak every day. Every time you replay an argument, every time you worry about someone else's opinion, every time you react to something that doesn't deserve your attention, you're spending energy. And often, you're getting nothing back. It's like carrying a bucket with tiny holes. No matter how much you pour in, it keeps draining. When your psychic energy is scattered, you feel anxious, drained, unfocused. Jung warned, this isn't just about being tired. It's about losing your center. You feel restless. Your clarity fades. You start living on autopilot. But here's the truth. This doesn't mean you're weak. It means your energy is being misdirected. We've been trained to be reactive, to answer every text, to explain ourselves when criticized, to say yes when we mean no. And every time we do, we spend more energy and drift further away from our center. But there's another way. Learning to hold your energy. You say no without guilt. You stay silent without apology. You observe before reacting. This is true self-mastery. It's not about shutting down your feelings. It's about guarding your energy and using it with intention. Jung said, that which you resist persists. When you fight to change people's opinions, when you try to control what you can't, when you get tangled in other people's emotions, you stay stuck and your energy stays scattered. But the moment you step back, the moment you choose peace over reaction, you reclaim your power. Your presence starts to speak louder than words. You don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to explain. You become centered, calm, grounded. And others feel it, even if they can't explain why. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming sovereign. Realizing your peace is precious and protecting it fiercely. Every time you choose stillness over reaction, you strengthen your inner battery. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. This is how you transform, quietly but powerfully, from someone who is drained by the world into someone who holds steady no matter what the world throws your way. So, what happens when you truly master your boundaries? When you stop reacting automatically, when you hold your energy close, when you say no without guilt? The answer is simple and life-changing. You become a force of presence. Suddenly, you don't have to raise your voice to be heard. You don't have to chase anyone's approval. You don't need to explain yourself over and over. Your energy, calm, steady, self-contained, does the talking for you. And the people around you? They notice. Some respect you more than ever. They feel your strength and rise to meet you at your new level. Others? They may fade away because your new boundaries no longer serve their old expectations. And while that might sting at first, it's also a deep kind of liberation. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That's exactly what happens here. When you stop being constantly available, you stop molding yourself to fit others' needs. You stop shrinking to keep the peace. You stop living in reaction mode. Instead, you return to yourself, piece by piece, step by step. At first, the path feels uncomfortable. You might second-guess your decisions. You'll hear the old narrative echo in your head. You've changed, you're being selfish. But in the stillness, something powerful begins to emerge. Clarity, peace, strength. You start to understand something most people never learn. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are gates that let the right people in. And the more you honor your own boundaries, the more you attract people who respect them too. You stop wasting energy on pointless arguments, one-sided relationships, toxic dynamics. Instead, you build a life that feels aligned, centered, and full. You say no and feel calm. You hold silence and feel powerful. You step back and feel strong. This is real strength. Not loud, not aggressive, but grounded, steady, undeniable. Jung's concept of individuation, the journey of becoming your true self, requires stepping away from the noise. It requires solitude, reflection, and the courage to face who you really are. And when you do that, you realize something liberating. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to explain yourself. You are worthy, exactly as you are. Your energy becomes magnetic. Not because you're constantly giving it away, but because you're holding it with care. And people feel that. They sense your centeredness. Even if they can't name it, they respect it. And here's the ultimate shift. When you stop being constantly available, you don't just reclaim your time, you reclaim yourself. You live from fullness, not from emptiness. You give from choice, not from guilt. You build your life around what truly matters to you. And in that state, everything changes. We've come a long way together. We've uncovered why being constantly available can feel rewarding at first, but how it slowly drains your energy and clarity. We've seen how others react when you step back, how your shift exposes dynamics that were hiding in plain sight. We've explored Carl Jung's deep teachings on psychic energy, projection, and individuation, and how they apply to your daily life. But most importantly, we've traced the path back to something essential: you. Here's the truth I want to leave you with. Your time, your energy, your peace, they are sacred. And you don't owe them to anyone, no matter how much the world tries to convince you otherwise. You don't need to explain. You don't need to justify. You don't need to defend your right to protect your own well-being. The moment you stop doing that, the moment you choose silence over explanation, distance over constant availability, peace over endless reaction, That's the moment you truly reclaim your power. Carl Jung taught that the path to wholeness isn't about adding more to yourself. It's about peeling back the layers, the conditioning, the false identities, the endless masks, until what's left is your true self. And that self? It's already enough. It's already worthy. It's already powerful. So as you move forward from this moment, ask yourself, where am I still leaking my energy? Where am I giving away my peace too easily? What is one small but powerful step I can take today to bring it back? Maybe it's saying no to a request that drains you. Maybe it's pausing before reacting. Maybe it's simply allowing yourself to rest without guilt. Whatever it is, take that step. Because every time you choose yourself, you strengthen your core. Every time you protect your peace, you build a life that reflects your true worth. Every time you hold your energy close, you show the world what true sovereignty looks like. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That's the invitation in front of you now. So if this message resonates, join others on the same path by commenting below with the words, "I choose my peace." Let's create a space right here where strength, clarity, and true self-respect are the foundation. And if you haven't yet, subscribe for more deep dives into psychology, philosophy, and the hidden patterns shaping your life. Remember, real transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a practice, a choice you make, over and over again. But every time you choose awareness over avoidance, presence over distraction, honesty over self-protection, you take another step toward becoming the kind of person who truly cannot be broken. The kind of person who still feels pain, but is no longer ruled by it. The kind of person whose strength comes not from armor, but from deep, unshakable clarity. That's your path now, and I'm honored to walk it with you. I'll see you in the next video.